There are moments when the unknown refuses to remain hidden.
Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
From the darkened skies over wartime Los Angeles to the silent massive craft above Phoenix, these are events that cannot be ignored, witnessed by thousands, captured in photos and film, defying explanation. Mass sightings challenge everything we think we know.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
Were they warnings, tests, or something far more extraordinary? Welcome to the Black Ledger. In the pages of the Dark Ledger, there are echoes of the past. Stories of civilization that seem to know more than they should. Structures built with precision that modern-day technology struggles to replicate, and symbols that hint at something other. Take the Great Pyramid of Giza. It stands as one of humanity's greatest achievements, yet its perfection raises questions. The pyramid aligns almost perfectly with true north, deviating by just 1/15 of a degree. Even today, with all our tools and GPS technology, such precision is difficult to achieve. Its dimensions are equally remarkable. Multiply its height by 43,200, a number tied to Earth's wobble, and you get the planet's polar radius. Multiply its perimeter by the same number, and you get the Earth's equatorial circumference. These are not coincidences. They suggest a level of knowledge far beyond the capabilities of the time. February 24, 1942. Tension gripped the United States. Just 2 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, fearing another strike from Japan, the West Coast was on high alert. But what happened that night over Los Angeles wasn't a conventional attack. It was something far stranger.
Anti-aircraft guns went into action against unidentified aircraft in the Los Angeles area shortly after 3 a.m. Pacific Wartime this morning.
At 2:25 a.m., air raid sirens wailed, and the city went dark. A total blackout was ordered, plunging Los Angeles into an eerie silence as searchlights scanned the skies. Radar operators had detected an unidentified object 120 miles west of the city. Moments later, something appeared. A massive craft, hovering silently. Anti-aircraft guns opened fire, unleashing over 1,400 rounds. Witnesses described the glowing object caught in the beams of searchlights, seemingly impervious to the barrage. Shrapnel rained down on the city, shattering windows and causing panic in the streets. By dawn, the object was gone. In its wake, confusion and chaos. The military reported no enemy aircraft had been shot down. No wreckage was recovered.
Concussion of the shells could be felt in downtown Los Angeles, 15 miles away.
But the damage on the ground was real. Buildings and vehicles destroyed, and at least 5 civilians dead, 3 from car accidents during the blackout, and 2 from heart attacks caused by the panic. The Battle of Los Angeles remains one of the most well-documented mass UFO sightings in history. For some, it was a night of fear and confusion. For others, it was the first undeniable glimpse of something not of this world. The summer of 1952 brought one of the most well-documented UFO encounters in American history. It didn't happen in a remote desert or over a rural farmland. It happened in the heart of the nation's capital.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
On July 19, 1952, radar operators at Washington National Airport detected a cluster of unidentified objects entering restricted airspace over Washington, D.C. These objects moved at speeds far exceeding those of any known aircraft. At first, the operators thought it was a glitch, until pilots in the area began reporting strange lights in the sky. These lights darted across the horizon, blinking out of existence only to reappear moments later. Fighter jets were scrambled from the nearby Andrews Air Force Base, but by the time they arrived, the objects had vanished. As soon as the jets returned to base, the objects reappeared. This game of cat and mouse continued for hours, baffling both pilots and radar operators. The press quickly dubbed it as the Washington merry-go-round, but this was no laughing matter. These objects were invading the most heavily guarded airspace in the United States, defying the laws of physics and evading interception by military aircraft.
We can say that the recent sightings are in no way connected with any secret development by any department of the United States.
Just 1 week later, on July 26th, the phenomenon repeated itself. Radar operators once again tracked unidentified objects over the White House and Capitol. Witnesses on the ground described glowing orbs and metallic shapes moving with impossible precision. Faced with mounting public pressure, the Air Force held a press conference. It was the largest of its kind since World War II. Their explanation? Temperature inversions.
We have, as of date, come to only one firm conclusion, and that is that it does not contain any pattern of purpose or of consistency that we can relate to any conceivable threat to the United States.
But this explanation didn't sit well with many. Temperature inversions don't explain objects accelerating to 7,000 miles per hour, performing sharp turns, or vanishing and reappearing. Nor do they explain why experienced pilots reported seeing structured craft, not illusions. Project Blue Book, the Air Force's official investigation into UFO sightings, would later include the Washington D.C. incident in its files. But like many other cases, it was dismissed without a definitive explanation. Years later, declassified documents would reveal that the CIA had taken its keen interest in the event. In a memo, the agency expressed concern that such incidents could be exploited by adversaries to overwhelm radar systems or sow panic. Was the Air Force's dismissal of the event part of a deliberate effort to downplay the phenomenon? For those who witnessed the merry-go-round, the answer is clear. This was no atmospheric anomaly. It was a demonstration, an incursion into the very heart of American power, conducted by objects that defied our understanding of flight, physics, and technology.
Something strange happened in the skies over Arizona that still hasn't been fully explained. And in reality, we may never know exactly what happened that night.
Oh, look at that. There's another one. We're just
March 13th, 1997. In the clear night skies over Arizona, one of the most widely witnessed UFO events in history unfolded. The Phoenix lights weren't seen by a handful of observers in a remote area. They were seen by thousands, stretching across multiple cities, and the phenomenon remains unexplained to this day.
I saw 6 lights over the airport in absolute uniform in a V shape. And Oliver said to me, I was just looking at him and I was coming in, we're maybe a half a mile out, and Oliver said, "Pa, what are those lights?" And I then it kind of like came out of my reverie and I said, "I don't know what they are."
It began around 7:30 p.m. in Henderson, Nevada, when witnesses described a large V-shaped craft with 5 lights moving silently across the sky.
Because they were so far off in the distance, but they were very large.
We have determined that this formation of lights, when it came to rest, was over a mile long.
Over the next few hours, reports flooded in from across Arizona. The object or objects passed over Prescott, Phoenix, and even parts of Mexico. In Phoenix, thousands of residents watched in awe as the massive craft slowly moved overhead.
I can't see how this works. How does this work?
Witnesses described the lights as part of a single solid structure so large it blocked out the stars.
People were seeing these lights, they blocked out the stars in between the lights.
The size of the craft was staggering. Some estimated it to be over a mile wide.
I saw the Phoenix lights UFO.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You were there?
Yeah. What I saw was something the size of like an Imperial Star Destroyer.
For many, the most unnerving aspect wasn't its shape or movement. It was its silence.
We're talking totally silent. At rooftop level, people watched these phenomena just glide right over their heads.
To throw a tennis ball at it, was that close?
It was very close. You just could have nailed it.
Bank of lights, 6 lights, in the shape of a triangle going back, right over the airport.
The lights continued their slow journey southward before disappearing. Later that evening, another event occurred. A second set of lights appeared stationary, hovering over Phoenix for several minutes. The military offered an explanation for the second event, claiming the lights were flares dropped during a training exercise at the Barry Goldwater Range. But this explanation raised more questions than it answered.
Flares emit smoke, and the illumination from the flare would illuminate the smoke as well, so you would have a trail from the flare leading up.
Flares don't hover for extended periods, nor do they move in perfect formation for miles.
These lights up here represent aircraft flares. If you notice, they're not in any straight line. They vary in distance between each other, and if you look at the top, you can see the smoke. As the flare falls, it leaves a trail of smoke above it from the burning magnesium in the flare.
Even more compelling was the testimony of then Arizona Governor Fife Symington. Initially, Symington had dismissed the sightings with humor.
And now I'll ask Officer Stein and his colleagues to escort the accused into the room so that we may all look upon the guilty party. Don't get him too close to me, please. You know. Now, this just goes to show that you guys are entirely too serious.
But years later, he admitted that he too had seen the lights.
What did you see?
Well, I saw a huge craft just kind of come right over Squaw Peak, just breathtaking.
What was the object that passed over Arizona that night? Was it military technology, an atmospheric anomaly, or something far beyond our understanding? Are these events connected, or is the truth still out there waiting to be uncovered? This has been The Black Ledger. Join us next time as we delve deeper into the unknown.